YouTube, Robinic, RBJ2K, thank you for tuning to the channel, thank you for tuning to the video. Look, if you click on the video you saw by the title, you saw by the thumbnail, I made my new and improved 6-7 lock that I'm going to give you guys today. If you guys see my previous video, you know, or my previous lockdown video, you know I made a 6-6 lock. Today I decided to go the 6-7 route, and I'm going to show you guys that just right now in a little bit. But before we get into this video, I just want to say, look, Jesus Christ first always, man. Thank you guys for tuning to the channel. Thank you for helping me running this channel up. I would tell you get your beverage of choice, sit back and relax, but I already have my little coffee. It's a little cold in my house right now, so I got the double layers. It's a little bit chilly in Southern California. I'm a Southern California baby, so I know y'all maybe who be in the West Coast or the East Coast, maybe I'm a little bit OD with it, but still, when it's about 50 degrees outside, I'm cold. So anyways, we're gonna call our build today Lock You Down. We're gonna be handing this right, and our jersey number gonna be 55. You can be whatever jersey number, whatever jersey number you really want to be. This, you can model this after any other, make this face creation look like anyone you want it to look like. It don't matter. We're gonna be a small forward. 6'7" is going to be our height. Our weight's going to be 181 pounds, and our wingspan is going to be 7 foot. You may be saying, why that weight? Why that wingspan? Well, the reason I went 181 is because we want this 71 strength that you see right here, as well as the wingspan. I don't max out my wingspan only because I want to be able to get at least gold set shot on my builds, and that's what you need an 89 midi for. That also does help being able to create a little bit of offense for your team by having a mid-range. You could work the mid-range area as well. This is specifically tailored for fives and for comp lockdown type of builds. So that's why I also make sure, what you'll see in a little bit, I made sure I put a good amount of free throw on this build. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. So for our speed, we're going to have an 87 speed. Speed is very important on a lockdown because you're going to be playing against the comp PG. And the comp PGs normally have at least a 90 plus speed with ball. You want to be able to recover in the event that you get beat down court if you're pressing up court. So just keep that in mind. That's the reason why I went at 87 speed. We are going to use 4 cap breakers and get this to a 91. And for agility, we went all the way up to a 91 agility. Again, agility is so important. I know that some of you who don't play the game as competitively or are not really in the pro-am or things of that nature think that just the perimeter may be sufficient, but on this 2K specifically, agility goes a long way in terms of getting bumps on the perimeter. So that's the reason why I went 91 agility. We also do get this tied to our slippery off ball, which is going to be on gold, so that will help you cut back door. With the strength, again, like I mentioned previously, we're going to have a 71 strength on this build. This is going to help us get a movable enforcer. I think it's a nice to have in terms of getting an additional badge to help you get stops on the perimeter in addition to the on-ball menace that we're going to get. That's the reason why I went 71 strength. You can tweak this if you don't care about strength on your lockdown, but I feel like strength is just a nice to have. But I wouldn't say that it's a mandatory attribute, so keep that in mind for what lock you're making. For the vertical, I went 75. We want to have a 75 because we are going to eventually, as you'll see in the finishing section of this build, want the gold posterizer, or silver posterizer rather, with the 87 driving dunk. So that's that for the vertical. I actually take that back. So we actually do go all the way up to a 78, or the pogo stick will help you get blocks on the perimeter and be able to jump again in the case that you are down low and need to get another block and jump higher. That's the reason why I went with a 78 vert. So with the rebound, I was trying to get a higher rebound on this build, but I wasn't able to finesse some of the other attributes. So that's the reason why I actually went to a 60 D board. In comp pro-am gameplay, you're going to need to help your bigs out a little bit. There's going to be instances where people try to go for putback dunks. You want to make sure that even in the event that it's not one of the guards, you can actually box out a big a little bit and stop them a little bit. And that little bit of time that you give your bigs to crash the board does matter, and it's very important. So that's the reason why I went with a 60 D board. Let's go into, we know what a lockdown build is. You're there to play defense, and for that reason, let's go ahead and go into the defense. Let's start with the perimeter. So I went with a 94 perimeter. I'm going to use 5 of my cap breakers and get this to a 99. One thing that I do want you guys to keep in mind, if you see this pick dodger right here, we actually aren't able to get legend pick dodger. I found this out after the fact, which isn't great, but I can +1 it, which I'll show you guys my badge loadouts right here. But it's not great that I'm not able to get legend pick dodger. This does go all the way up to Hall of Fame, so I will have to use 1 +1 badge attribute in order to get that 99 or the legend pick dodger. So just keep that in mind. I went with a 94 perimeter, and then with my steal, one thing that I didn't like with my previous lock, my 6-6 lock, which I'll put a link to the video in the description below, but one thing that I didn't like like was that I didn't have the highest steal, so I only had a 73 on that type of build. The benefit of that build versus this one is that one has more ball handle that you can cap break. I did not cap break any sort of ball handle or speed with ball, but that is a nice build if you just want to make one lock. Obviously I'm doing this for content, so I make a variety of builds, so it's not that big of a deal to me. But if you just want to make one lock, I would recommend trying to tweak a 6-6, and I might come out with a better 6-6 that may have a little bit more steal. But the reason why you compromise a little bit of steal to eventually get a little bit more ball handle and speed with ball, so you can get good dribble sigs on that lock. But this is just for comp pro-am gameplay. This is just for specifically just having a higher steal, a higher perimeter. That's what I didn't like about the 6-6, so I made sure to put a high steal on this build. I went all the way to a 93, and I used another 5 cap breakers to get eventually a 98 steal. You're gonna see like the clips, I'm just gonna roll through a bunch of them. I did one tweak that I also made. Having a higher steal is, instead of going for steals with X, I'm using the right stick. I was told by one of my boys, his name's Koos. Koos, if you're watching this video, appreciate you, dog. 98 steal, if you flick up on the right stick, you get way better animations than just using X. And you'll see, previously, I was chalking up this 2K as they don't value steal at all, especially glove, which used to be a really good badge in last year's game. But now that I have legend glove, I +1 the glove, obviously, because I don't get all the way to a 99. But having legend glove and also pairing that with the right stick rip, it's pretty amazing the difference in animations that you can get. So you're gonna see in the park, in the rec, in the pro-am, I'm over here stripping dudes, major pause, but I'm stripping dudes of that rock, and I'm getting a lot more steals in terms of the glove animation based on what I used to get, especially with only having a 73 steal on my other lock. Now the other lock is faster, the other lock does have a little bit more agility, but at 6'7", I will get into this a little bit. Actually, that's a good segue. At a 78 block at 6'7", I do notice that I get a lot better contests on the perimeter. So there'll be instances where you're in the pro-am and you get a fast break and there's people who are trying to run for an open shot. There's been many times, and I'll roll clips where I am able to get a good contest on the perimeter because I am 6'7". This 6'7" build compared to the 6'6" gets a lot better triggers of the challenger animation, I will say, when you're trying to get, you know, that help defense or make up defense for whoever may have left their corner open. The 78 block paired with just being taller, I get so much better animations on that perimeter. So that's something to keep in mind. Again, you're still going to get crabbed because crabbing is just the meta in this game. The D-book aggressive breakdown, things like that, which will sort of, you know, that's going to happen regardless. But having that 78 block with a 6'7" height definitely helps. But I just want to stay here on the steal for a little bit because I know I have a lot of clips to show you guys. The steal plus the perimeter, having a higher steal in general, you load in, you see that 98 steal, guards are going to be weary of that 98 steal. The only place that I'll really, one thing that I really do think that this build could be better at is I do wish that he was a little bit faster. At 6'7", you are going to be a little bit a little bit slower. But I will show you guys my animations that I'm running on this build because the motion style does play a huge factor in the way that your build moves. Beyond just the speed and the agility. I believe what I was running was Torian Prince. That's the one that I found, or that I was told was a good motion style to use, so I'm running that. It's good, but again, keep in mind you're going to be going against 6'2" and 6'4" guards most likely. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to keep up in terms of their speed, so you just got to be smart about pressing full court, and sometimes maybe you just got to sit in the half court waiting for them and really try to get these bumps. But you're going to get all legend, like legend challenger, legend on ball, again Hall of Fame pick dodger. For this build I did end up going with a 60 interior defense because I do want this paint patroller on bronze. But yeah, the defense is there. Like on my previous log, as I've mentioned many times already, I wanted a higher steal. I got that on this build. I am vet 1 now, so I have a good amount of cap breakers to use. I believe I almost have like 15 cap breakers on this build. So very important, very critical to have a really high defense, pair that with a good amount of speed, a good amount of agility, and you're going to get stops on the perimeter. So let's go ahead and move on. I'm not going to put the ball handle and the playmaking up just because that's a little bit less of an important attribute to have on this type of build. But we're going to go with an 87 mid-range, and we're going to cap break that all the way to an 89 with our build specialization. Gold set shot is what you're going to be able to get when you get it there. You're going to be able to shoot lights out. This is the jumper that I'm running on the build right here. I paired that with an 83-3. I do think that it's important to have a little bit of Hall of Fame or bronze limitless range just to be able to shoot from deep in the rare instance that you are sitting on the hash. With the lock, I'm sure most of you know who play Pro-Am, you're likely going to be sitting in the corner. Your main job is to get stops on the defensive end. So as I mentioned, since we're playing in Pro-Am, I want to have a 92 free throw on this build so that I'm not missing or selling wilding at the free throw line. But as you saw in the badge loadout, I am able to +2 this to legend. There's really no reason why. If you pair it with tempo, I know that's a little bit, you know, frowned upon in comp gameplay, but I do run tempo on this build. There may be tournaments that I'll eventually get into where I can't use tempo, but this is still a good jumper, and you will be able to hit, especially with legend set shot specialist. So it's very good. You can also, like I mentioned earlier, you can work the mid-range. I like the Pro 2 animations to run on the mid-range, on the fades and stuff, and there'll be plenty of clips of that, just running side to side in the mid-range and shooting those nice Pro 2 animation fades. But that's that for the shooting. You got to be a 3 and D. That's pretty much what a lock is, a 3 and D. Be able to shoot well, be able to, you know, when you run your fifis, your whatever, your reverse fifis, blah blah blah, you got to be able to shoot lights out, really help your PG out, and that's why I went with a higher. I sacrificed a little bit of wingspan to get a higher shot. Let's go ahead and move on to the finishing. So with the driving dunk, we're gonna go all the way to an 87. I did try and do my best in order to get a higher, be able to finesse the dunk, but I wasn't able to on a 6-7. Maybe it just gets a little more difficult in terms of finessing the attributes, but you're going to be able to cut back door. You're going to be able to, once you get steals, have a little bit of speed with ball, which I'll get into. You see here the 62 ball handle with the 62 speed with ball. We kept the playmaking with the pass act 37, but what I'm getting at is that you can obviously, you know, once you get a steal, you get that two-way run and get your finish at the rim. So 87 driving dunk, I've mentioned this in a lot of my different build videos, is a very good budget place to put it because you will still get good dunk animations, and I'll show you my dunk animations on the screen right here. I pair that with a 40 standing dunk. Standing dunk is really important because you want to make sure that when you cut, you can trigger those standing dunk animations and not get some boofy layup. So that's that for the finishing. You see the build, 99 overall. So that's that for the build. I really did enjoy having a higher steal on a lock. Now I will probably recommend, if you just want to make one lock, you will sacrifice a little bit of the ability to get contests on the perimeter. But if you want to have a little bit of playmaking, there may be a 6-6 build that I could iterate and maybe come out with to, you know, just be your one and done lock. So keep that in mind. I do think that this build is a lot better in terms of getting that glove animation. Those clutch steals come in handy. Having those contests on the perimeter come in handy. Again, all with the sacrifice of our playmaking. But for the most part, like if you're a lock and you're serious about playing lock, you're really not worried about ball handle and speed with ball. So let's go ahead and see what shades we get to round off this build video. So we're going to be Gerald Wallace, Kawhi Leonard, Dylan Brooks, two-way mid-paint scorer. Again, sacrifice a little bit of that playmaking in order to have a full rounded out lock. 73 steal on a lock is just not as sweaty as it needs to be, especially when you're going against guards. You need to throw them off their rhythm by getting those glove animations. But that's that for the video. If you made it to the end of this video, I really do appreciate you. I really share this with auntie, share it with granny, share it with uncle. Thank you guys for tuning to the channel. We're going to continue to run it up. More build videos on the way. I love you guys, and if you guys want to check out my 99 dunk 99 vert Gerald Green build, go ahead and check it out right here. I love you guys, man. God bless. Until the next one, deuces.